Oh, Kal v'chomer. I said I put that in my notes, I think. Um, here. שמחת עולם. יאללה
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So nice to hear real voices, see real people, and I'm glad to be with everyone who's here virtually. We're figuring out an arrangement to keep everybody socially distant and also present. Thinking this Shabbat, how important it is to be here. After really the collective trauma that we endured last week, how important it is to say we are here. Shabbat matters, community matters, and we will not be kept away from our sacred home. Symbolizing that courage and that hope and that faith, it's my joy to call up Arlene Nevins to kindle the Shabbat lights. The angle of the camera is such that you might not see it at home, but inviting you to kindle as well and know that Arlene is right here lighting these lights.
Happy birthday.
Exactly. Just another day. We continue on page 13. Shiru Ladonai. Shir Chadash, singing an old song that's new.
Lecho neranena, lecho neranena, lecho neranena, ladonai. Lecho neranena, lecho neranena, lecho neranena, ladonai. Naria, naria, letzor yishenu, lekad nafana betoda. Naria, naria, letzor yishenu, Bismirod Nariano, Lechoneranena, 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 Ladonai, Lechoneranena, 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 Ladonai.
Now, page 13.
Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai, Kol Haaretz, Shiru Ladonai, Baruch Shemo, Asru miyom liyom Yeshuato, Sabru v'goyim kevodo bechol ha'amim nivlotav, Ki gadol Adonai. השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, תגל הארץ, ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ותגל הארץ, ירם הים, ירם הים, ירם הים, ומלוא, 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 יעלוס עלי וכל אשר בו, אז ירננו כל עצי יער, לפני ארוני קיבה לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט תבל בצדק, ויאמין באמונתו. אדוני מלך תגל הארץ, ישמחו עם רבים, ענן דרך לסביבה צדק ומשפט. אוהבי אדוני, שנאו רע, שומר נפשות חסידיו, מארציים יצילם. אור זרו על הצדיק, וישרי לב שמחה, שמחו צדיקים באדוני, והודו לזכר קודשו. page 15. מזמור שיר לאדוני, שיר חדש, כי נפלאות עשה, הושיע לו ימינו ועזרו לקודשו, הודיע אדוני ישועתו. לעיני הגויים גילה צדקתו, זכר חסדו ואמונתו לבית ישראל. ראו כל אפסי הארץ את ישועות אלוהינו. הריעו לאדוני כל הארץ, פיצחו ורננו וזמרו. page 16. זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור וכל זמרה. 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 בחצרות וקול שופר, הריעו לפני המלך אדוני. ירם הים ומלואו, תבל ויושביה. נהרות עמך וכף, יחד הרים ירננו. לפני אדוני כי קיווה לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט תבל בצדק, ועמים במישרים.
Page 18.
וישבר אדוני את ארזי הלבנון, וירקידם כמו עגל לבנון וסיריון קול כמו בן רימים קול אדוני חוצב להבות אש קול אדוני יחיל מדבר יחיל אדוני מדבר קדש קול אדוני יחלל איילון ויחשוף יראות ובחולו כולו אומר כבוד אדוני למעבו ישב וישב אדוני מלך בעולם אדוני עוזר לעמו ייתן אדוני יברך ורמבו בשלום לי 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 לי
Turning to page 20, L'chadoti, inviting you to maybe take a deep breath and let go of anything you'd like to leave in this week that's been passed. Maybe I'll take a few breaths. And then you can just turn your gaze toward those candles and breathe in some of the sweetness and renewal of this moment. Page 20.
La 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 לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. 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 שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, ישמענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, בשם ותפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה. מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. Verse 4. התנערים מעפר קומי, לבשי בקטעותיך עמי. היד בן ישי בית הלחמי, קרבה על נפשי גאלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. Verse 5. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי. אורי אורי שדברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה וצהלה. תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי כלה, בואי כלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לה 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 לה
Indented paragraph.
בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו. לסבע דשנים ורעננים להגיד כי ישר אדוני צורי ולא עוולת רבו.
Shalom Aleichem 24, welcoming in the holy messengers that abound all around us in so many ways.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem LeShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barechuni LeShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzitechem LeShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu's on 28, inviting you to rise in body or in spirit. 28.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Turning to page 30, thinking about the incredible power of nature, thinking about that volcano. I still can't get over it. Thinking about those forces that are so beyond our wildest imagining and of which we are a part. Let's offer this reading together. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening.
ומעביר יום ומהביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב הערבי.
32.
אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת. תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ויארך ימינו ובהם נגי יומם ולילה. באהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. נא לשבת.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם. Page 40, offering the words that we sang from Torah last Shabbat. But we're through the sea now. So, Michamocha.
Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you, כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך מנהיגה בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות לך, לאהובניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים. זה אלי, אהנו ואמרו, זה אלי, אהנו ואמרו. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגואלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Hashkivenu, our prayer for protection feels very poignant this week. Feeling grateful to our amazing security and leadership and executive director that keeps us safe. And also thinking of that sense of spiritual safety that we have to find separate from all the protocols. May we find that this Shabbat. 42, offer these words with me. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel, for your name's sake be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and our coming to life and peace evermore.
Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom. Shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael.
44, we speak about people who are shomers of Shabbat. A shomer is a guard, right? So we're thinking about, we need these external guards, but there's also this guarding that we can do, a guarding of sacred time, setting aside time, which is a radical and courageous choice, always. 44, V'shamru b'nei Yisrael.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל עוד היא לעולם, עוד היא לעולם, עוד היא לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית olam. You'll forgive me, it's been a long time since Shai and I have gotten to play together. We're trying to sync. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
I think you're synced.
Now I gotta sync with everyone out here.
Through the plexiglass.
Yes.
Rising in body or in spirit, our Amidah is on 46.
Adonai, צבתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah. האל הגדול הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. Page 50. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, בחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך במית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Continuing with our own silent prayer, seated or standing, we'll meet up again in a few minutes on page 60.
Feel free to continue your private meditations at your own pace. If you've completed, you can join me on page 60 for the evening prayer for peace. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. ברוך אתה אדוני המברך את עמו ישראל בשלום.
Turning now to our prayer for healing on 253, inviting you to put any names in the chat, online, on Facebook, names of people you're thinking of in need of healing, or to offer those names aloud here.
Second to last line of the top paragraph. רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף ובזמן קריב ונאמר אמן. רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף ובזמן קריב ונאמר אמן. 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 ובזמן קריב ונאמר אמן. בזמן קריב נאמר אמן. בזמן קריב נאמר אמן. בזמן קריב נאמר
So as odd as it is, I didn't want to give Dvar Torah with a mask on, and so I've pre-taped my Dvar Torah, and you will watch it, and I will watch myself, which could be not the easiest thing to do, but I'm doing it for you, so you can see a full face. Okay, Jason.
I also didn't want to sing en masse. So I'm gonna replay the whole service, which I recorded after the sermon.
We have arrived at Parashat Yitro, the giving of the Ten Commandments, with all the lights, bells, and whistles, the thunder and lightning. We read, V'chol ha'am roim et hakolot. And all the people, they saw the voices, they witnessed the thunder and lightning, V'et kol hashofar, the blare of the horn, V'et hahar ashen, and the mountain itself was smoking. When the people saw it, Vayanu'u, they fell back. V'ya'amdu merachok, and they stood at a distance and said to Moses, you speak to us and we'll obey. Va'al yadaber imanu Elohim, but we don't want to speak directly to God, pen namut, because we might die. This most elevated sacred Torah portion, Yitro, deals head on with the subject of human fear. And how relevant this emotion is as we re-enter Shabbat, and some of us re-enter the synagogue itself 1 week after Colleyville. Yes, we are always vigilant, always with our wits about us, but there is, for me at least, a new level of anxiety in the air, a heightened awareness of the reality of what it means to be a Jew in this world. And if it's not terrorism or anti-Semitism that gets you in the gut, then there are the fears and sense of vulnerability wrought by this pandemic, or by so many other worries that each of us may be facing. What are your fears? I'm thinking about the upcoming transition for our community. If Mayor and I alternate weeks, then I have about 10 more sermon slots. Wow. Even with its promise and hope and excitement, change, that too can inspire fear. Whatever it may be that puts you on edge, we can probably agree that fear is not necessarily something we want to cozy up to, lean into, experience more of. Vayanu'u. And the people stood back. They stepped away from Mount Sinai. Go ahead, Moses, wear yourself out. You speak to God on our behalf. While we may, by definition, be a bit uncomfortable with fear, it might be a state of being that we even would like to banish completely. Yitro, this week's Parsha, teaches that revelation, be it of the Ten Commandments or of any other truth, is sometimes, or maybe even often, inextricably bound to fear. Revelation, fear. Why this binding together of Sinai and trembling? I think it's because fear can be a teacher, offering us lessons about the nature of the reality in which we live. For instance, this past Shabbat, we learned or were reminded of how very real and painful can be our vulnerability as Jews. Whether we're talking religion or politics or the pandemic or in so many other realms, fear can, well, it can raise our awareness and cause us to pay attention to things that matter. And maybe not only to pay attention, but then to adjust our actions and our choices accordingly. So, temple security, for instance, we will continue to heighten and tweak and improve our already excellent synagogue security systems. And maybe in the coming weeks, if we hear a tinge of anti-Semitism in casual conversation, we'll call it out. Or in another subject, our necessary fear of what COVID can do, especially to those who are vulnerable. Perhaps that will inspire us to wear masks, get vaccinated or maintain social distance. While fear may be uncomfortable and an inescapable component of the human condition, our fears can teach us. That is, so long as we don't become paralyzed by them. I don't know how many of you saw yesterday's article by youth poet laureate Amanda Gorman. I'm very grateful to Gilda Wolf, who shared it with me. In it, Gorman shares how she almost didn't accept the invitation to speak at Biden's inauguration. See, she was terrified. Friends advised her to buy a bulletproof vest. Her mother drilled her in the family living room so she could become adept at quickly crouching down to shield her body from bullets. Fear can cause us to freeze. And thus, Amanda Gorman almost said no to the invitation to speak at the presidential inauguration. I think as well the Shabbat of the passing just last week of Rabbi Israel Sai Dresner. He died at the age of 92, a freedom rider, jailed multiple times. He faced fear. He was a close friend and confidant as well of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In 1964, King wrote to Dresner from his St. Augustine jail cell. King's letter begins, "Dear Sai," so familiar. And King asked Rabbi Dresner to find more rabbis willing to be arrested. I think Dresner's actions and choices were informed by his family history, by the Holocaust, in which so many members of his own family had perished. This compelled him to feel fear and then to take action. After Dresner was diagnosed with terminal cancer, surely another fearful moment, he made a bucket list, which included visiting his parents' and grandparents' graves. He did this with his son and daughter, and it was reported in a beautiful article about that last visit that as Dresner left the cemetery, he recalled a story by Dr. King, who quoted an elderly Black man after this man had voted for the very first time. When asked what he thought about his new status, that man said, quote, "I ain't what I want to be. I ain't what I should be. I ain't what I'm gonna be. But thank God I ain't what I was." May our fear never paralyze us, but instead compel us to keep moving forward. I'm doing a lot of that these days, looking back, looking forward. Parashat Yitro was Gavi, our son's bar mitzvah portion. And next week, we will arrive at my bat mitzvah parsha. I will never forget the shaking of my hand as I held the yad and read Torah for the first time. So think of something that presently inspires fear in you. Rabbi Yehuda Leib Margaliot of 18th century Poland offers this amazing teaching about fear. He teaches that fear is different from other human emotions when we think about our relationship with God and our relationship with other people. Rabbi Yehuda Leib says, with other emotions, you can feel them both equally towards God and humanity. Gratitude, love, honor. We can honor people and God. Maybe those feelings can even reinforce one another. But he says, it's different with fear. Rabbi Yehuda Leib teaches that if you fear human beings too much, what they're going to say, what they're going to do, then your sense of awe and fear for God is diminished. And the opposite is true as well. If you hold fear and awe of God at the forefront of your consciousness, then your fear of human beings will find its rightful place. You'll be able to find the right balance of caution and courage. Reshit Chochma Yirat Adonai, teach our sages. The very beginning of wisdom is fear of God. We, in our human condition, must remember whom to fear. Back to the Parsha. Vayhi b'yom shlishi b'yot haboker, on the third day as morning dawn, Vayhi kolot uvrakim, there was thunder and lightning and a dense cloud upon the mountain and a very loud blast of the horn. Vayecherad kol ha'am, and all the people who were in the camp, b'machaneh, they were trembling. And God came down upon Mount Sinai and called Moses to the top of the mountain by Ya'al Moshe, and Moses went up. Amanda Gorman describes the process of her ultimate decision 1 year ago to offer that inaugural poem. This is what she said. If you're alive, you're afraid. And if you're not afraid, then you're not paying attention. She continues, maybe being brave enough doesn't mean lessening my fear, but listening to it. I look at fear not as cowardice, but as a call forward, a summons to fight for what we hold dear. End quote. So I asked this Shabbat, Yitro, what do we hold dear? Maybe it's showing up for Shabbat, for community, or protecting our health, or protecting our right to live safely as Jews, or protecting democracy. This week, our daughter Adina received it's called a Tzav Rishon. It's her first call by the IDF that sets in motion the process of interviews, which will determine where and how she will serve. Talk about trembling. For what holy things are we willing to feel afraid? What can our fear teach us about what we love? And how can we activate our fear in the service of that love? I close with the famous teaching of Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, who writes in Likutei Moharan 48. V'da, know this, she'adam tzarich la'avor al gesher tsar ma'od ma'od, that every human being has to cross a bridge that is very, very narrow. V'haklal, but the rule, v'ha'ikar, and the crux of the matter, shelo yitpached klal, that they should not be, each person should not be, wait, I always thought it was prior to this sermon, yifached. He shouldn't be afraid at all. Each person not afraid at all, but that is not what Rabbi Nachman teaches. The verb is yitpached. It's the reflexive of to fear. It's as if Rabbi Nachman knows we're going to be afraid, but the key thing is not to make ourselves afraid, not to become locked in our fear, not to have our fear define us. Then whatever we are facing, we can cross that narrow bridge. We can climb that Mount Sinai as Moses did, however loud the thunder. I close with the words of Amanda Gorman. I'm not telling you not to be tired or afraid. I still am terrified every day. Yet fear can be love, trying its best in the dark. I'm going to say that again. So good. Fear can be love, trying its best in the dark. So don't fear your fear. Own it, free it. This isn't a liberation that I or anyone can give you. It's a power you must look for. Learn, love, lead, and locate for yourself. B'da she'adam tzarich la'avor al gesher tsar tsar ma'od. Each person has to cross that bridge. Ba'klal, ba'ikar. But the key thing, shelo yitpached klal, is to not be afraid, not to be defined by your fear, not to be locked into your fear, but to let it be your teacher. Ken yehi ratzon. Shabbat shalom.
Page 339. Kol ha'olam kulo gesher tzar meyor, kol ha'olam gesher tzar, kol ha'olam kulo gesher tzar meyor, kol ha'olam gesher tzar, kol ha'olam kulo gesher tzar meyor, kol ha'olam gesher v'ha'ikar lo לפחד כלל, לא לפחד, והעיקר, לא לפחד כלל, לא לפחד, כל העולם כולו גשר צר מאוד, כל העולם גשר צר, כל העולם כולו גשר צר מאוד, כל העולם גשר, כל העולם כולו גשר צר מאוד, כל העולם גשר, והעיקר לא לפחד כלל, לא לפחד, והעיקר לא לפחד כלל, לא לפחד, והעיקר לא לפחד כלל, לא לפחד, והעיקר לא לפחד כלל, לא לפחד. כל העולם כולו גשר צר מאוד. Continue on to page 282 and rise for Aleinu. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל עמונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. 287 ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Seated. Coming to Kaddish Yatom, our mourner's Kaddish, encourage you to add any names virtually. Anyone you're thinking of, if you hear the name of someone you're remembering this Shabbat, you can rise when you hear that name. We are thinking in the Great Neck community of Marissa Chado Benifla, a young nurse who died of COVID. And while she's not immediately in our community, of Michelle Alyssa Go, who was pushed to her death from a Manhattan subway platform this past week. In the past 30 days, we marked the passing of Cindy Gold, Michael Horn, Barbara Zale, and Michael Zarin. And the yard sites this week for Lawrence Adelman, Francois Chapwick, Ethel Cohen, Philip Darvin, Philip Freeman, Janice Group, Dorothy Herslich, Sandra Hirschhorn, Jeanette Hollins, Merle Holstein, Kenneth Kluger, Alfred Capel, Bernard Kofsky, Beulah Landau, Janet Landsberg, Emmanuel Levin, Ilya Levitas, Minnie Markowitz, Cyrus Mayer, Arthur Muskin, Leon Schwartz, Pauline Schwartz, Lillian Schneider, Irene Shore, Tony Shore, Papa Saul, Sylvia Steinberg, Frida Walder. Any other names to add? It's It's your custom to rise for the mourner's Kaddish. We're on 294. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה,
Amen.
בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב יאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה ויאמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to all Israel, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, to all humanity. We say one last time, amen. You may be seated. Announcements, Torah study and Shabbat morning service online only tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. That'll begin at 9, and Mayor will be leading. Sunday, the 23rd, if you know anyone who might be interested, it's open to non-community members. Becoming a Soulful Parent. It's a 4-part series taught online, 10 a.m. by me. And the author of the Becoming a Soulful Parent book will be joining us on Sunday. Wednesday, the 26th, we will have a blood drive here. Such a big mitzvah, 1 to 7 p.m. And at 7:30 p.m., it's the Witness Project kickoff. Join UJA virtually for a conversation with Alicia Wiesel and Brett Stevens. They'll discuss Alicia's passion for continuing his father, Elie Wiesel's legacy. Thursday, February 3rd, the Road to Fez, 7:30 online. It's a Q&A with the author. I think maybe sponsored by Sisterhood, not sure.
Yes.
Saturday, February 12th, Jazz Night. You want to tell us about that?
It's going to be a very special night of jazz here at TBE, featuring the world-renowned Shy and the Kedmies. It's going to be great.
Let's see. Our history discussion group will resume on March 2nd, so hold off for that. And my next civil rights class is on February 8th. We're talking about the book, The New Jim Crow. Okay, I think that's all we have. Thank you for those who are helping with the oneg. It looks so festive out there. And now, turning it over for Kiddush and Motzi to Debbie and Doug Bernstein in celebration of Doug's birthday tomorrow.
Are we on?
You are.
Excellent. Can we see this? Look at that. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen.
Amen.
Take a bite.
Yep.
Is it a special challah?
It is now. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen.
Amen.
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 Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratza banu, v'shabbat kodsho b'yahava u'v'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh bereishit, ki hu yom tehila lemikrai kodesh, zecher litziat Mitzrayim, ki banu v'acharta, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת לחיים. All right. Let's say amen to everything that's been said tonight. For the rabbi's words about fear, to the words for hope and for not being afraid, and for words of healing as well. Amen. Amen. Uvisman kariven omar. Amen. 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 Bisman kariven omar. Amen. Bisman kariven omar. Amen. Bisman kariven omar. Amen. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom. Maybe take the bread out with you so someone.
Oh my God, that Gesher ceremony tore my heart out. Thank you. That was incredible. Oh my God. Shabbat shalom. We go way back with this. It's like, I know your granddaughter since she's not quite 4. And this was when Dina got the gifts for her.